Good morning, good morning. I am here in Good morning. I am here in Montgomery, Alabama, the capital of Alabama, and I'm really excited to be here. If you watched my last video, you know that I lost my wallet, so I'm still without a debit card or credit card or a physical license, but still going through. It's not holding me back. But yeah, let's go check it out. I just got out of the Legacy Museum, which was very powerful and very moving. Talked about the the existence of slaves in this country and the process of bringing them here, and the unspeakable amount of, well, the speakable amount of trouble that these people have undergone since they've been here. I'm really sorry. Very emotional, to say the least. You know, it talked about the Civil War era and the influx of kidnapped and enslaved people from Africa, and it talked about how that has transitioned into what it is today, and it walked you through the Civil War period and then the Reconstruction era. After following the Civil War, when you saw the birth of the Ku Klux Klan and the real birth of Jim Crow and segregation, especially in the South, talked about lynchings in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and how prevalent that was. I actually found out that there was a recorded lynching. Actually, it wasn't even a lynching, but a public burning of a man in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, which I grew up about half an hour from there. And this was in 1911. But to know that something like that happened, you know, a lot of times we think of things like that happening in the South, but there were many instances of injustices happening in the North. Then it kind of transitioned into the Civil Rights era with Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and all of these, activists and people that just tried to further the cause for equality, to recognize how far I've been able to come based off of my race, based off of my gender, and based off of my religion, where I live. It's incredible. I highly recommend this museum. It is, it's educational, but it's somber at the same time. You are not allowed to film or take pictures in the museum, which is why I wanted to do this kind of little video about it. And I'm just, I can't say I'm stunned, but it's very eye-opening. And I highly recommend this museum. Like I said, I think that this should be something that everyone comes to see, because it really speaks to a part of American history that I find is embellished in the opposite way, if that makes sense. I think it speaks to the hardship that the African American race has endured in this country for a very long time. Towards the end of the museum, it transitions into modern day slavery, in my opinion, which is mass incarceration, and the dynamics between how many African American men and women are imprisoned compared to white men and women. It talks about the difference between even just punishments in school towards African American children versus white children. Very humbling moment for me. Switch sides this morning. So today I am traveling to Selma, Alabama. Yesterday I explored Montgomery and downtown and walked around the Capitol, which I talked about. You know, I did the Legacy Museum and the Memorial. So yeah, I'm gonna make that little trip to, it's about 50 miles, and it's the way that I am driving. It's Route 80 out of Montgomery, and it is a national historic trail. It's a highway, but it is the same route that the marchers would have taken during the Selma to Montgomery March in 1965. So I'm very excited to, you know, retrace those steps. Well, hopefully you can hear me because I have my windows down. There's right next to a highway, but Montgomery was actually a pleasant surprise. Not that I didn't think it was going to be a bad experience, but the city itself was really nice and very clean. And you know, from a historical aspect, there's so much to see and do. Today was my last day there, and I visited the Rosa Parks Museum. I wasn't allowed to video or photograph anything in there, so unfortunately I can only show the outside of the building. But really that just kind of touched on the bus boycotts that took place in Montgomery, as well as the freedom rides that started before that. And it touched on her life as well and how she was involved in the civil rights movement, and you know, her refusal to give up her seat for someone that was of a different color. And then from there I went to the, I believe it's called the Montgomery Bus Boycott Museum, something like that. But it is the original Greyhound bus station where John Lewis and several others rode into town during the freedom rides to protest racial inequality when it came to public transportation. Interesting that it's the original bus station. and you can walk around that specific area. Again, I couldn't film or take pictures inside, so I could only do stuff from the outside. But all in all, I was very impressed with Montgomery. The state capitol building was beautiful. My trip to Selma was extremely powerful. And yeah, I mean, just walking around downtown Montgomery, there are so many different things to see and do. So it wasn't a very crowded city, which I was really surprised about. And yeah, so I would definitely go back and highly recommend to anybody that's searching out, you know, civil rights, historical landmarks, that's the word. But because I'm not going to be traveling for the next few days, I'm going to be putting out small little videos each day about, I've written down a couple things that I want to talk about, but one is going to be like basic hygiene, how I find Wi-Fi, what inspired me or what I love about traveling, and the big one is going to be like a van essentials checklist. Or at least like a top 5, top 10 things that you need to have in your van if this is something that you want to do. So look forward to that. I'm excited. And yeah, that wraps up my time in Montgomery. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.